Greetings, all! Today, we'll be examining the relatively rare normal-type Pokemon Ditto, the Transform Pokémon. While their powers and attributes might make them a true quirk in every sense of the word, Ditto are fantastic beasts that can more than use the power of the opposition against them in any situation.
As far as appearances go, there isn't much to say. Ditto have the appearance of a purplish-pink blob of gelatinous tissue with a pair of tiny pinprick black eyes and a large mouth that leads into their interior. To say the least, Ditto are both completely useless and perhaps the greatest fighters out there in terms of sheer adaptability. From what can be seen, Ditto are the result of failed attempts to recreate the legendary Pokemon Mew, resulting in semi-sentient globs of stem cell tissue that can survive merely by absorbing nutrients through the thin membrane that covers them.
Most of the time, Ditto are literally nothing more than a shambling blob of goo and have little in the way of personality or intelligence. In fact, their stats are so low that they are effectively incapable of taking much in the way of damage even from beginning trainers before kicking the bucket.
As a defensive measure, however, Ditto are able to utilize the powerful Transform technique as their sole form of defense, the one thing that actually was successfully transferred from Mew, and, surprisingly enough, are effectively masters of the art and can use it to a greater extent than even Mew ever could. This is possible because the genetics of Ditto are effectively little more than junk material that is easily erased and recombined by a complex series of biological reactions.
When Ditto come across an opponent, they use a weak form of psychic power to quickly analyze the target at hand, just enough so they can sneak a quick peek at their genetic code. From there, Ditto will begin rapidly replicating cells with the same genetic code, replacing their own within the confines of their Transform technique, and turning them into a near-perfect copy of the opposition.
This process grants Ditto access to all of their target stats, with the exception of HP, as the stem cells that serve as their brain, and thus the amount of damage they're able to take psychologically, remain the same to some degree, as well as all of their known moves, though Ditto can only use them at a greatly heightened stamina cost as a result of them being unable to completely replicate the opponent's physical endurance. Ditto are effectively so good at this process that they can maintain their transformed state for the duration of a battle no matter how long it might last, only reverting back to their normal state when they relax. In addition, Ditto are able to use this capacity to breed with just about any species of Pokemon, even artificial ones that do not have a true gender. Not surprisingly, this means that Ditto are capable of getting along with just about any type of life form they come across. The only exception are other Ditto, primarily due to a competitive streak that constantly results in fighting among Ditto, over which specimen has the better transformative abilities, with them often trying to outspeed each other to determine who on their own is the better mimic. However, Ditto are not perfect and do have a few flaws that can be exploited to make them less than helpful. For one thing, although Ditto can perfectly mimic a real creature they see in battle, their capacity for memory is relatively poor. If asked to transform based on just a picture or even from memory, they will always manage to get some details wrong. It also does not help that the transformative power and precision of Ditto tends to operate on an individual basis and is thus dependent upon the skill of the Ditto using a transform technique, with different Ditto expressing unique strengths and weaknesses in transforming, again explaining the competitive streak they hold towards other members of their species. Moreover, Ditto seem to be unable to use their transform technique if they are made to laugh, and will instantly dissolve back into their true form if made to do so while in a transformed state. Needless to say, Ditto have a hard time surviving because of these fatal flaws, and will often disguise themselves as abnormal things they see from nature. In particular, Ditto will transform their bodies to look like rocks while sleeping at night in order to throw predators off, though their bodies still remain squishy and malleable in this state. Some Ditto have even managed to mimic and replicate the power of completely inorganic weapons such as cannons, though this is a trait rarely seen in battle. As a way of protecting themselves from harm, some Ditto have learned how to dry their own cells and produce a fine powder that acts as a natural stimulant to their cell growth. These strange powders, known as Quick Powder and Metal Powder, respectively raise the speed of Ditto by 100% and their defense by 100% when held, but will only work when they are in their neutral state. Even so, these items can make life for Ditto much easier in the wild, and can help protect them from extensive harm if used correctly in battle, and are really needed as the base stats are all below average for a fully evolved normal-type Pokemon. At the very least though, they can have access to Limber as a base ability as a result of their smooth movements in their natural state, and those that are able to replicate others on the fly without even needing time to gather the data needed to transform can have access to the signature Imposter ability, allowing them to not even have to worry about being attacked in their base form.
While they might be little more than a weird gimmick to some, Ditto are still fascinating creatures that can easily turn the tide against the opposition in the weirdest of ways. It might take a great deal of skill to use them properly, but these gelatinous beasts can more than make themselves tricky targets to take on if not dealt with quickly.
Just do yourself a favor and try not to irritate them too much. They might not always be the brightest of beasts, but that doesn't mean that they won't gladly turn into you just to literally knock some sense into yourself.
Thank you all for watching this video. It is always a pleasure to help teach others about the world of Pokemon and the many facets of it that exist in both the world we call home and the world they call home. If you'd like, please leave a comment and subscribe and ring the bell to this channel to get regular updates on content and anything else that might be going on. You can find me and my written work on DeviantArt under the name Utitus and be informed of information and content uploads on my Twitter page and my Patreon page. Donations are always welcome. Always remember, the world of Pokemon is a vast and varied place, and there's no telling what secrets might be hiding just around the corner. So keep watch, stay vigilant, and always prepare for the unexpected. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of the day.